how do you feel when you pay someone and you get nothing in return? Well, I think in general, we don't like that. I'm going to argue that there are times when you absolutely should be paying someone to do absolutely nothing. Now, of course, if you were to go into a restaurant, they seat you, you look at the menu, there's no interaction. They don't bring you drinks, they don't bring you food, they don't let you order. And 30 minutes later, they come out and they hand you a bill for $75. You're not really going to like that experience. So I think in general, that's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. Now, of course, talking about investments. And the problem with investments is, as human beings, we are really adept at surviving as hunter gatherers, right? So we actually have two parts of our brain, or two different systems in terms of thinking. We have this really quick subconscious system that allows us to make split second decisions without even really thinking about it. So you hear a rustle in the bush, you hear a loud noise, there's a flash of light. It keeps us out of danger. So even if we're wrong, 50% of the time, the 50% of the time there is a lion trying to take us down, we survive. And there's also this system two brain, which is the more analytical brain, where we're consciously making decisions, looking at evidence, looking at data, that kind of thing. Now, the problem is, although we're very good at surviving as hunter-gatherers, these same system one reflexes, cognitive reflexes, cause us to be very poor investors. In fact, there's a plethora of documented cognitive errors that we make as investors. I have a big series on this. You can check out these links and see what all of these things are and how it's negatively impacting your ability to be a good investor. The bottom line is that in general, it causes us to do things like buy high and sell low. So how many of you out there got out of the stock market right here? Or how many of you got out of the stock market right here earlier this year? How many of you decided to get back in here or here, right? These are things that, of course, cause us to have worse investment returns than we would if we just bought and held and did absolutely nothing. So, for example, today, should you get into Tesla? Tesla's had a nice run, had a long number of years, what was in that $50 range, and has popped up dramatically to over $700 now. Should you buy it? Will you buy it? What about Apple? If we look at Apple, we can see well, if you would have bought it 10 years ago, say here, and held it till now for 10 years, and we had invested $77,000, we would now be a millionaire. But how many of us actually did it? How many of us actually bought it and held it and did absolutely nothing for 10 years? Now, there was a maximum drawdown of 46%. That can be pretty scary, to lose nearly half of your wealth in a drawdown. How many of us got out here? How many of us got out here? Those are the questions you need to ask as you are an investor. Now, the thing is, it's really, really hard to do nothing. If you use your system one brain, it's really, really easy to do stupid things like buy high and sell low. And even, if you think, well, I could have timed it, I could have bought at the lows and sold at the highs. Timing is notoriously very, very difficult. Even if you look at a stock like Tesla, which is clearly overvalued, it's not to say that it won't continue to rise over the next year or two. What you get with these cognitive errors is you get the panic selling and the euphoric buying. But if you keep calm and do absolutely nothing, you will end up with better investment outcomes, which leads me to my primary point here. If you have an asset manager or an RIA who stops you from panic selling, euphoric buying, or does absolutely nothing in their portfolio, it is absolutely worth paying for that, because the outcomes are typically better than the people who do something. So you shouldn't worry about, your mutual fund manager having a small number of trades this year, or even none. There's some examples of funds out there who've had 0 trades over a year. If these people are making the right decisions, and the right decision is to do nothing, you should absolutely pay for it, because you will be better off as an investor and as a retiree. Thank you so much.